Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I'm going to discuss filter modification functions in DAX. Okay, so to modify the filters in calculation, Power BI DAX has these many filter functions. Okay, in my previous video, I discussed all versus all except function. So in this video, I am going to discuss all versus all selected function. Let's see what is the difference between these two functions in this video. So whenever you are working with calculate functions to calculate the values, in modified filter context, even these functions, even all and all selected functions help us to or return the value by removing all the filters which are applied on the table. So now if I remove this, okay, so here instead of all except, I'm going to use all selected. So let me remove unnecessarily columns from this. Okay, this I don't want, even I don't want this. Okay, so I have a table, let's say, which is showing the sales amount for the countries. And if you want to find out the percentage, you may want to return the values, total sales amount for each of the country. By removing the filters, we have seen in my previous video that we can use all except, not all except, all only. So what all is going to do, all will remove implicit filters, and it also removes the explicit filters. Even none of the filter, if I applied from the slicer, going to work on this measure where I have specified all as an argument of calculate function. So here, if you look at my formula, okay, or function, so all I used to specify to remove all the filters on the sales table. Okay, even you can use all the filters from the specific column also. So now we have to see how all selected is going to work. Okay, so this allows us, if we have to find out the percentage, okay, country wise percentage with respect to the total sales amount. Okay, so this is what going to help me. Okay, this is actually all except, I should select this one. But let's say I may want to perform the calculation based on my selection, meaning I may want to find out the percentage of contribution based on my selection. Okay, so in that case, all selected function is going to help us. So I'm going to create a new measure with the calculate function. Obviously, as I said, total sales all selected. Okay, this is what my expression here. In case of calculate, we can specify total sales. This is what my total sales measure. And here you can use the filter modification functions. So all is fine. Okay, we are familiar with the all is going to remove all your filters, which are, or even we can say that all is going to ignore all the filters. But in some cases, okay, if you made the selection on the any of the slicer, so that column should return the total amount for that selection only. for that selection only. Okay, so let's see. Meaning, indirectly what we are going to do is we are going to create a group, temporary group, to find out the calculation. Okay, if I made the selection for Australia, Canada, and France country, so whatever will be the total of this country? Okay, all will return the total without any filter. But if I wants to compare the values in such a way that whatever will total of these countries will be there, I wanted to use that total to perform the calculations to find out the percentage. So in that case, all selected is going to work. So whenever we specify all selected, okay, all, and if I say selected, here you will be able to pass either a table name or column names. If you pass table name, you don't have to pass column names. If you pass column names, you have to pass the column names only. Okay, so let's say what it is going to return. If you read the statement, okay, it is going to return all the rows in a table or all the values in a column, ignoring any filter that might have been applied inside the query. Okay, so if is there any filter on the table while performing the calculation, it will ignore. Even the filters are coming from relationship, that kind of filters also ignore. But keeping the filter that comes from outside, meaning the filters which are coming from the slicers, okay, that filters it should consider to perform the calculation to find out the total sums. And based on selection, whatever the categories I will select, for that categories it should show me total values. Okay, that is what the use of all selected. What I'm going to do is here now, all selected, and let me say the table is sales. So okay, from this table it is going to remove filter. Now let me hit the enter button. Let's see how does it works, or what amount it is going to show. Right, the moment I select, okay, sales table, so this will works very similar to the all. Okay, even though if I made the selection, okay, here, if we do not apply the filter, it will works very similar to the all. But whatever the filters applies to sales table which are coming from the slicers, that should only work. Okay, so in this case we can say we have to use, or we can use the all selected. Okay, if you look this total and the total returned in these columns or in these rows is same, and if it is not same, you are missing something. Okay, and in, let's say you have to find the percentage against these values, the selected values, selected categories. Will you be able to find out? Yes, you will be able to find. So here, this measure is going to return us the selected categories total, right, versus whatever the category we have selected are there. So we can find out the percentage in very easiest possible way, right? To find out the percentage, total sales, which is getting filtered by the relationship for the country, whatever the category we have selected in table, that should work. Okay, if I say percentage all selected, and here I'm going to use the divide function. Divide, what will be my numerator? So in case of numerator, I will use total sales, and in case of denominator, I will say total sales all selected. Okay, into 100. If I hit the enter button, and if I drag this on my table, so you will be able to see what is the percentage of the Australia from the selected countries, from the selected. Okay, and the selected works not only for the specific category. Okay, you can use any type of categorical column from any table which is in a relationship. Okay, if I say bike, even in case of bikes also it is going to work. If I made the selection from this day based on the day name, yes, it is going to work. And this is how all selected works. Okay, whatever the selection you will made in the slicer, total of that category will be returned by this all selected, meaning what is happening exactly while performing or while calculating this amount, right? So here in case of calculation, total sales is there, but this is getting filtered based on this table, whatever the table it has returned. It has returned. Okay, so now the thing is that if I made the selection, the all selected filter or all selected function allows only filter which is coming from outside, meaning the slicer. Okay, and it will filter the data in the table itself. Okay, in this table, meaning the sales table, it will filter the sales table based on the selection made here, whatever the selection we made here. On that basis, it will filter the table. On top of that, it is going to perform the calculation. Okay, even in my previous video also I discussed, your filter conditions will get executed or evaluated first, and then it will evaluate the expression in calculate function. This is the order, and this is very important to understand how these functions are going to work. Okay, even we can use these functions. I can use this all selected to return the table with specific selected columns. Okay, if I say selected, meaning if I specify the table here, if I put the comma. Okay, let me try with this. Not sure whether this works. If I say sales amount, okay, this is not going to work. Okay, as I said, if you pass the column name instead of table name for first, you will be able to pass the multiple columns. If you pass the table name, you don't need to pass column names. And this is what the conclusion of this session. Even this is what the difference. Whatever the selection you will made, that filter that will be applicable in case of all selected, but in case of all, none of the filter is applicable. If I made the selection for this country, basically this whatever the category we use here in case of table, so same category will be used in case of slicer to see this kind of percentage. So in this scenario, all selected is used, and this is what the difference, whatever I discussed here, in between all and all selected. All remove each and every filter. Even in case of all selected, again it removes all the filters from the table, but it allows to filter the data from slicer. That is the difference, nothing apart from this. And with this, I would like to conclude this video. I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Please do not forget to subscribe the web jam.